All right, here we are again, and look who's back.
Yay!
It's Brittany. We're a big reunion. I've had Chris on a couple times, I think. But when was the last time we did a podcast?
A podcast? We were in your office over. Yeah.
That was that long ago?
That was the carousel day.
Yeah, we did.
We didn't do one. We did the
director.
commentary.
Yeah, the commentary.
Okay. Yeah, that's right. God, it has been a long time.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
Yeah. Now
Thanks.
Brittany's back to catch us up on everything that's happened.
Wow. So much things.
Well, I guess, yeah. So pretty much pandemic was. So I guess what's happened since then in your world?
I switched to doing, I guess, more special effects after the pandemic, and I reconnected with, I guess, a good mentor of mine who was working on some shows in Austin, and he brought me on to do a little bit of day playing, which turned into not leaving. And then, but it was nice because it gave me days to finally join IATSE.
Nice.
So I joined that both in script supervision and in special effects.
Okay.
And started working on shows out there. It was a show called Panic. It was on Amazon. They only did one season of it.
Okay.
And I thought it was really pretty cool. I watched it, and I was entertained by it, and we got to do a lot of crazy effects. So because it was about like a small town where these high schoolers sort of dare to each other to do these crazy things, and whoever sort of wins at the end of the summer gets like a cash prize to get out of the town. But all of the things they're dared to do are very dangerous, so it was very effect heavy on my end. So
Right. So you were effects on that.
Yeah, I was doing special effects with the crew there, and then what happened after that? I thought I did something. Oh, I guess not. So from that crew, I met some people that were working on Fear the Walking Dead in Austin. And they just told me that they needed some people to come out. And I came out for, again, a few days and then never left. And that was the end. Was that the end of 2020? Like November, December. And I worked with them until March of last year, 2023. So yeah, it was like 3 years.
And did it start out in Austin and then you guys went to Georgia?
Well, it technically started in Canada, their first season. Then they moved to California for their second. Then they went to Mexico for their third. So their fourth season, they came to Austin. It was season 6 that I joined.
Okay.
And so I did 6, 7, and 8 with them. But season 8 was in Georgia, Savannah, Georgia. So they were nice enough to invite me to go with them there. And I spent 8 months in Savannah. And then the writer's strike happened and I died.
And on Walking Dead, you were doing effects on that as well?
Yeah, special effects on Walking Dead. Because I got licensed for pyrotechnics in like 2013. I mean, a long time ago. And I never really did a lot with it. I did like a couple episodes on The Leftovers because they were filming in Lockhart. And then when that show ended, because they moved to Australia for their last season, I went through like a big span where I kind of went back to script supervising and doing indies here and there. And it wasn't until after the pandemic technically, it was right before the pandemic because I was supposed to go on to that show Panic, and then they canceled because of the pandemic. And so it wasn't until after that I got back that I truly got into it. So, yeah, from 2020 to 2023, it was like straight special effects work in Austin and Georgia.
Wow, nice.
Yeah.
I remember all this happening, of course. And I remember you sort of like hearing from you every so often, but I never really knew, I guess, exactly what you were doing.
Well, it was funny because I remember when I first got onto the Fear the Walking Dead set, and I was talking to some of the guys who had been there since like season 2, and I was like, oh my God, I couldn't imagine working on a show that long. That seems too like committed for me because I'm used to indie films and we're working like 4 to maybe 7 weeks most.
Right.
And we just went all over the place, and I was like, that sounds like a corporate job, working on a show for 5+ years. Like I don't want to do that. I would never do that. And then 3 years later, I'm like, yeah, I don't want to. No, I don't know where the time went. All of a sudden, I was doing it. Because after COVID, they had to catch up, right? And so we had we were working like 6-day weeks and just working from as soon as we finished season 6. I think we had like 2 weeks off before we started season 7. And then each season's like 7 months long. So then we did another 7 months, and then
that was what I was going to ask, because I remember you being gone for a while. Although you would come back,
on the
every
week.
so often.
Yes, quite a
Living
bit of
the
traveling.
dream.
Yeah, I have a lot of miles on my Jeep now.
Yeah.
But when season 7 ended, actually, we had about 2 months off before going to Georgia. But during that 2 months, they did a spinoff called Tales of the Walking Dead in Atlanta. And I turned that down because I wanted a break. I mean, I had done like a year and a half solid of 12-hour days, 5 to 6 days a week. And I was like, I need, vacation. But I did go out there for an episode. I think I was there for 3 weeks, just because they had a real effect-heavy episode, and they begged me, so I went out there. But I came home and had about 3 or 4 weeks to relax before going to Georgia for 8 months.
Yeah. Man.
Yeah, that was wild.
So, and now, so the show's over now, right?
The show ended, the series, I guess, ended.
Right.
Yeah, in season 8.
And
Everybody pretty much is scattered to other things, or?
Yeah, well, it's interesting because I obviously still keep in touch with a lot of them. I don't know how much I can really say, but I guess there's another spinoff happening and on the East Coast. So one of my coordinators followed them up there, but everybody's got to hire kind of local, so they didn't really get to bring a whole lot of people. And because of the strikes, nobody's working, so everybody's available. So usually you can get hired on stuff because everyone's busy, and they're like, okay, we'll fly you in.
Yeah.
But when everyone's available,
Right.
they can't do that.
Yeah.
So everyone kind of scattered. I actually day played on a show yesterday here in Houston, and most of them were on, at least 75% of that crew was from the Fear the Walking Dead set.
Oh,
so
wow. Yeah.
that was kind of fun to reconnect. But while I was talking to all of them have been dry since last March. And in a way, while you don't want that on anybody, it kind of made me feel a little better, because you start questioning, is it me? Did I not?
People just don't want to work with me.
Right.
Yeah.
But, these guys have been doing what they do longer than I have. And I'm like, well, if they're not getting work, then truly production's just not happening. So.
Yeah.
So, sorry for those, our yard guy is here. So
I hired him to come so
nice.
I could just stop.
Like every shoot, right?
Right. That's actually one of the other special effects guys who couldn't find work.
But more than once.
Yeah, he'll. They'll eventually be in the backyard in a bit. So, can you say what you worked on yesterday?
I don't know. I mean, I did sign an NDA.
Okay,
They
never mind,
just this is day 4.
I didn't know if it was the thing you were trying to get on that we had talked about.
It was,
Good. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was funny because I contacted them to be a script supervisor because again, I'm in Houston, and it was a Houston production, and I was like,
I'm pretty sure I know what this is.
Yeah, and I knew a couple of the people that had worked on a previous season, and they told me, that they really needed a scripty, and so I had sent in all my stuff, and they were like, no, we have someone. And then they called me last week, and they were like, hey, we need a special effects person, and I was like, cool,
Nice.
my rate is higher.
Perfect.
But no, it worked out. So it was, again, just day playing right now. So
Yeah, that's good, though.
So, I guess, what do you think the next move is going to be?
Man, I don't know. It's like I'm hanging on for dear life at this point, and I want to hang on because I feel like truly at some point there will be an explosion and it'll be fine. But this has been the longest stretch of nothing, that it's definitely nerve-wracking to do I continue down this path? Do I become an accountant? What? But I mean, I've kind of tried to pursue a little bit of that, and it's also hard to find anyone else that wants to hire.
There's no easy answer.
Well, and nobody understands our business, right? So I'm also realizing that if I'm ever applying for something outside of our industry, people think like, oh, you only worked here for 8 weeks, and you only work, like, why are you jumping? You don't understand. It's just a project, and when it ends, everyone gets laid off.
Right.
It's not
how it works.
Yeah, so I'm realizing that maybe I'm not coming across so well, because while it's 4 pages long, it's because it's just short projects. So
yeah, I had this when I interviewed for the pizza place. The manager was like, "Well, your work history, I don't know." I'm like,
Let me
just explain
explain.
this to you.
Yeah.
And it was part that and part like, why are you here? But it's like I had to walk him through the whole deal and be like, I just it's dry right now. I need a job. Trying to explain. And then I ended up pretty much running the place. So it's like it ended up working out.
Yeah, I wanted to, if I could get that face interview, I think it would be okay, but everyone does everything online now. Like, I even went into a couple restaurants because, like, maybe I'll bartend or waitress for now because that is, fast, I guess, fast money.
Yeah.
And I walked in because, silly me thinking old school, like, face-to-face application fill out, and they're like, oh, no, just go on our website. Yeah. And it's not even, like, their local website. It's just, like, the franchise. Yeah, and so I'm like, never mind. I'll fill them out, but nobody's called me, so.
Yeah.
But there's been a couple indies here and there that pop up, but it's funny because as much as I hated the thought of being in like a committed long-term show, now that I did that going back to indies that are only 4 weeks long, I'm like, no, I need something else. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, you're leaving out a major life event.
Oh yeah. Yes, I got married.
Yep.
Yeah, longtime viewers and listeners to Brandon would recognize Brandon from he's in the Blood / Imago / Dark Ritual. He's on the commentary with us. You met him through Chris, right? Yeah, is that right? Yeah.
Well, we joke that was the first time we ever saw each other because we saw each other first at Chris's wedding. He was a groomsman.
That's yeah.
She was shooting it.
And was I? Did I do that? So I actually saw him many years ago. I don't know, how long was that?
Yeah, when was that?
We've been married 7 years. So yeah, 7 years.
Really? Was it only 7 years ago?
Yeah, that was my reaction. It feels like longer.
It does.
We were married in 15.
Yeah.
Because I've known, Brandon and I started dating 4.5 years ago, so it seemed like there was longer than a 3-year span from that, but I guess not.
Yeah.
So.
Well, yeah. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. It was crazy.
And did that complicate like any of the work you did towards the end?
It didn't, only because he proposed on New Year's Eve, and I had to fly out the next day to go back to Georgia. And so it didn't even really register, I think, that I was engaged until at least when I got back there. But I was working for another 3 months, so I told him, I was like, let me finish this project, and then, like, so we didn't even talk about like date or whatever until I got home. Yeah. And I thought, oh, this will be the perfect time for the strike to happen because then I can spend a couple months, like I can spend the summer planning the wedding. That way, when the next project comes, I'm already done planning. Yeah. And not only did projects not really come, but the planning took a lot longer than a month, or than a summer. Yeah. So maybe I needed the time, but. Now I'm ready to get back to work. So I was kind of using the wedding as my, like, okay, if nothing comes up by the wedding date, then I'll, like, seriously look for a job. Uh-huh. But maybe I should have started a couple months ago.
Right. So if anybody out there's hiring.
Yeah, anybody for whatever. I'll blow things up, I don't know, for money. So.
Yeah, supervised scripts.
Yeah. I did start working for a fireworks company based out of Dallas, and we shoot like 4th of July shows, and then they shoot
you're shooting or you're shooting the show.
No, like firework. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, right.
Like
just because it could go either way.
You're right. Yes, setting off firework displays.
Yeah, that's your angle. You're the shooter who shoots.
Yes, I could.
Wow. Yeah. I see the commercial already, and like the fireworks behind you. Yeah. Make this work. Yeah. There's your new demo reel.
Yeah. Well, honestly, so they do all of the pyro for a lot of the colleges, like U of H football games and stuff when they run out of the field and they have like the flames and stuff. So I did a lot of that over I guess at the end of last year, like November during football season. And so it's a lot of fun, and it's kind of fun that you can get paid to do something like that. But at the same time, it's an all-day event, and in reality, the pay you take home is not worth your Saturday. So trying to...
And how consistent is that?
That's the other thing, because it's like, obviously 4th of July is a huge, they have all these shows. It's been a little more consistent than I anticipated, because in my mind I thought, okay, you have college football games, but that's a season, and then you have the 4th of July. But I mean, we even went out on Fat Tuesday, and St. Martin's downtown did a fireworks show.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I mean, that was like a random Tuesday show, which was really cool. I think not this weekend, but next weekend we're shooting... Beaumont is having like a bicentennial celebration or something that we're shooting for. So I mean, it kind of comes up. Yeah. And fortunately, through that company, I got to not to know, but I met the fire inspector for Harris County several times. Mm-hmm. And so he put me on like a short list of license holders, because he says there's all the time people coming into town or that are opening, new hotels, and they're like, yeah, we're going to do this for our grand opening. And he's like, cool, you need to hire a licensed person. Yeah. And they have no idea what that means or where to find that. So he hands them that list, and I've gotten a couple calls from that, which has been nice. If I could do that on a regular basis, I'd be totally happy with it, because it's fun and easy, but not as frequent as it to make it
no
viable.
More Astroworld like fireworks every night.
I know. Yeah. Well, and even like, because the rodeo, they have a different like company.
Right.
And I don't.
Something they probably used for years or whatever.
And I think even the stadiums, because I was thinking, like the World Cup, when they come in, that'll be big. But the stadiums themselves have specific contracts with various places too. And some of that is actually a different license than what I have. Oh, okay. So I'd have to get something else. But
So that made me, I remember you talking about, and I don't remember what show this was, but where you had, and I don't even remember what position it was called, but where you were like the head of the department and you had to hire.
Yeah.
That was kind of crazy. Yeah. Talk about that.
This? Where are we in? That was cool. That was in the end of 2023. I was in Montana from the end of September to the middle of November. So it was like 7 or 8 weeks out in Montana on an indie, and I got hired as coordinator on that one. Fortunately, because of Chris. Actually, he's
I remember this one.
Yeah, he's the one that pretty much got me that job, and I'll let him tell you the rest of that story. But while the indie had its ups and downs as indies do, it was still a cool experience because I'd never really coordinated something like that. I mean, as a scripty, you're kind of a head of a department, but you don't have anyone else. It's just you. So you're just managing yourself. Right. So I had 3 guys that I had worked with actually on Fear that I was able to hire, and it was just like a whole new world having to be responsible for them, which it's just okay. Leave it at that. But anyway, it's a lot of negotiation work, and then just trying to like figure out how we're going to do something. And it was kind of intimidating because the guys that I hired -1 have way more experience than I do. But it's kind of why I hired them, because I trust them and I knew that whatever I threw at them they could do, and if I didn't know how to do it, that they would easily know how to do it. But it was kind of a weird dynamic to try to be like, okay, but technically I am your superior, so I need you to listen to me. But also in the special effects department, which is what I love about it, we all are just kind of goofy, and we sort of like, give each other shit all the time, because it's like a band of brothers, even though I'm a girl. But I feel like, especially with these guys, have earned respect enough for me to be just like their little sister that they can give shit to, and I can take it. But then as a coordinator in that position, when you're feeling the stress of production, it was a lot. So it was a good learning experience for me to try to like handle both. sides. But ultimately, we came in and we blew the production's mind because they every day kept telling us that we were the best effects team they'd ever met, and we had saved them so much money in post, and I still wish they'd have let us do more than what they did, but there was, again, a lot of organizational issues that there usually is in indies.
I feel like Chris has some context to add to this. And what was this one called? Can you say? I don't know. I know the name.
I mean, the names are probably going to change anyway,
right.
I guess.
That's true.
So.
That's true.
I mean, it was in the media, I guess, while we were out there, but so it was a movie. It's called at this recording moment "Unholy Trinity."
Okay.
And it was filmed in Montana, in Livingston, Montana, which is a very beautiful but very, very cold area of the world. I don't do cold anymore.
I don't blame you. So, Chris, what's your side of the story? I'm so intrigued.
Believe it or not, that's actually something I'm going to save for not on the podcast.
Okay, cool. I think I've heard parts of this.
You've heard some of it. Yeah, it's not something I want to really put out to the world.
Okay.
It's nothing bad. It's just, there's no need to spread drama. Like, it just is what it is.
I get it.
So, yeah.
But the silver lining was that he got me a really cool job that I think really will probably help my career if, shoots ever come back.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, because you were coordinating on that.
Right. Yeah. But I mean, we even had to, because we rented a friend of mine's 48-foot trailer that's like fully decked out in special effects gear, and getting that up to Montana. I mean, it was like a big time move for us. I mean, and we were the biggest trailer on set.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even think costumes had our truck size, so everyone was very impressed with.
What kind of stuff were you doing?
We burned a church down, quote unquote. Yeah. Well, what was so funny about that, and why I bring it up first, is because that was something that they didn't really want us to do, or they didn't expect us to do.
Okay.
What they thought we were going to do was just blow some smoke out the door, and they were going to put lights, and then in post-production, burn it. Okay. And we came in with flame bars, basically, and put them in all the windows, including the second-story windows, but we obviously fireproofed everything because it was all wood, all wooden. And, put our sheetrock down and everything, and just lit the fires and did the smoke, both out of the top plume and out the doors and windows. And, I mean, they didn't have lights or anything in there. It just looked like it was burning down. So they were like, well, we don't have to do anything in post now. That looked amazing. I got a call from the director that night. Well, I got a couple calls from him, but that was one that was just, what else can we do? This is amazing. But we did squibs. Tried to do squibs. We did, when I say try, because, it's a Western, right? So out of the 38 people that die in this film, they only gave us 4 people. And supposedly that was because of wardrobe constraints. Okay. And they were just going to VFX the rest. So I had 4 very, keen characters that we were supposed to do. And the first one that we do, of course, is a headshot, right? And that's, the hardest thing to do, because you can't put an explosive on someone's head. Right. And so we built, this rig that, was kind of like these metal pipes, and we tested it on the stunt people. And it was going to look great, and we just knew we did all different kinds of blood samples to make it gooier or thinner, what kind of spread can we get on the wall. Mm-hmm. And I distinctly remember hearing the director. It was the first effect that we had done on the film at all, and the director said, from what I remember hearing, we'll probably do this again because squibs don't usually work. And I don't blame him for saying that, because I've been on a lot of sets where squibs don't work.
Yeah.
But fortunately, this one not only worked, but it was perfectly timed. It was a perfect splat. It was just, everything about it was perfect, and it just blew everyone's mind. Yeah. And that's when the director called me that night and was like, who else can we shoot? I want to shoot everybody, blow everybody up kind of thing. And so we were supposed to kill a lot more people. But again, because of organizational and time constraints and things like that were not my fault, we unfortunately were not able to do that. Even though wardrobe came through and actually somehow in their budget were able to create these costumes that originally we didn't have money for. So they were really awesome, but it just didn't happens. So they're going to VFX some
Yeah.
stuff in there. So body squibs, church burning, tons and tons of atmo. It's a period piece, so we built open torches throughout this entire town. We blew up, like there's a big shootout inside, so we had candy glass and, you know, walls that had squibs built into them, a whole like chest of, you know, china that explodes and things like that. So it was, you know, all the Western things, except no like glass bottle broken. I wanted someone to like, you know, none of that. No, I think that was a budget thing too. Those glasses are expensive.
Yeah, they are too.
So.
Yeah, what do we have to get those for recently? I had to get glass bottles for something. Damn it. I don't remember. But yes, they're very expensive.
Yeah, they're good.
It might have been sequence break or something, but yeah, we had to order. It's a real pain in the ass. And so you don't. Where's that movie at right now? It's still in post, or
It's still in post. Last I heard, I kind of haven't heard a whole lot from them. So yeah, hopefully it's in post. I mean, it's got some big names in it.
Yeah.
So I can't see it, you know, dying in post. I really
Right.
feel like it'll come out somewhere.
Okay.
But this was the biggest film that this director had done at the time. So it might take a little while to get
Gotcha.
the rest of it.
gotcha. And was that the last feature you worked on? You just done some indie things.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was it. So I did another indie here in Houston that was really awesome, and everybody I worked with on there was really great. That was in August. It was right before I went to Montana.
Okay.
And it was only 4 weeks long, but it was all at one location. We were at this like $1 million mansion. It was beautiful. It was wonderful. And the acting was amazing. Like the actors in this were phenomenal. So excited for that one. I think that one should come out because it's more of like a psycho thriller.
And what'd you do on that script?
Script supervised on that one.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was cool. And then Montana. And then I worked on a short film recently here in Houston. And it's just so funny because, like, you know, we were doing so much here, years and years ago. And then I felt like I just had this falling out with a lot of the Houstonian film community just for reasons that I just didn't care for. And so then we just went years and traveled. We went to Colorado, we went to New Mexico, we went to California,
Keep
you
talking,
know.
I'll switch this battery. Keep going.
We just went to millions of different places and never shot in Houston. And then when I did come back, when I got into the union, obviously I went into Austin and then Georgia. So I hadn't filmed in the Houston community since I don't even know what year it was, but it was like at least 6 or 7
That was
years.
Bandits, right? Bandits was the
Yeah.
last thing that we did.
Yeah.
God, when
And that was before Vegas, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, that was...
Yeah.
It's just been, it's been a long time. It's been at least 6 or 7 years since I had filmed anything in Houston. And so I don't want to say I had written it off, but it was just like, well, nothing's really happening and, you know, all the work is other places. Right. But then after the indie in August and then the short film that I just got done doing, it's like I've kind of reconnected and then just met a bunch of new people.
You guys, yeah.
Or honestly, a lot of them aren't new. It seemed like they were also, because we would talk stories, obviously, with them, and they all know it and were kind of a part of it in weird ways, but it was like we never crossed paths, or if we did, we don't remember.
Right.
And then now that we're shooting this, it's like, oh, but these people are actually really cool, and they are trying to produce cool stuff.
Yeah. They're actually trying to do it the right way.
Yeah, so it's been really nice to like come back into the Houston scene and meet people that I really like to work with.
Yeah.
Because I'd like to be home and work if I can.
Yeah.
So it'd be cool to bring more stuff here.
Yeah.
So that's been, you know, the short film was only 3 days long, but I mean, everybody that I worked with was definitely people I would work with again. Like, they were all really cool.
Nice.
So I guess beyond that, what any plans to make something of your own again? I know you've kind of been working on something.
Yeah, you know, if I didn't have this past year of dry work, I would be more aggressive with that. It's actually funny because I had like a little interview with this company this morning, and in the reflection of my Zoom, I could see my poster of 23 Stripes, which is the documentary that is still currently in production. And it's just kind of like it was just a funny like visual, because it is like always, in the back of my mind, and like there it was. And so I mean, I would love to finish that. I have very clear guidelines of what I need to finish it, and so it's almost difficult, because it's like that's all I need, but then again, everything takes money. And I don't want the production value to be different than what we started with, and we started pretty high, so I want to keep it that way. So I have the very clear notion of what needs to be shot, but I just want to keep that production value high like we started with, and it takes money, so I don't even it's almost like I hate to put any of my time into it right now, because I need time to find stuff that's paying. But I don't know, it's that catch-22, I guess. It's that like mental hurdle that you need to get over, and maybe I'm still not over it yet, and I need to create some trailers. I was gonna say commercials. Some trailers for it, and I'm sure apply for grants would be nice, but there's definitely been like a lacking on my part as far as motivation goes, and I just need to get back into it. So yes, eventually I would love to finish that. And kind of the cool thing in a way is that there's actually been a lot of evolvement. Is that a word?
I think so.
We'll make it a word.
It'll work. It's YouTube. You can do whatever you want. I've heard crazier.
So since, because it is kind of a medical sort of documentary, and so obviously since pandemics happened, there's been a lot of things that are some similarly related in advancements that I'll be able to add to it. So maybe the fact that I've waited a little while might help in the end. I might be able to get a different viewpoint on some stuff. So, but yeah, I mean, I honestly, if I had, unless just like a crazy thing changes my life course work-wise, I don't know if this year will be the year I finish it. I'd like to say that would be it, but just to be realistic, because I mean, it would take probably 3 or 4 weeks to just finish the filming on top of post-production. And it's a documentary, and with any documentaries you have all the archival stuff that you have to go through. And I'd love to hire someone to like help me do that, but again, costs money.
Right. So. Yep. For sure. Have you tried to edit any of it already? Or? So
I've gone through all the interviews that I currently have, and I have time-stamped all of like the pieces that I want to use. You hear for those sound bites,
right?
And I have pages of like this interview and all the sound bites and the timestamp and everything. So I have gone through everything, and I have it pretty much mapped out. But I haven't actually cut it together. So it seems like it shouldn't be that difficult, because I got it all mapped out. But sitting down in that chair,
no, I get it,
and plugging in all of those hard drives is definitely the mental hurdle. It's kind of like putting your tennis shoes on to go to the gym. It's like the hardest part. Because I know I'll probably plug it in and sit down, and in like 30 minutes I'll probably have something cool. But
it's doing that.
Yeah, getting there.
It's getting there.
I think I go through that with every
movie but INBETWEENING, actually. I've had that same experience.
Interesting.
Yeah. And there are definite reasons why, but I remember when we were done with Mystery Spot, it took me forever to start editing it. I just didn't until they started bugging me about it, really. I just did not want to do it.
It's kind of weird in that like creative space, because I mean, even at like weddings I have that, right? Like you spend 8 to 10 to 12 hours shooting it, and you come home and that's like the last thing you want to look at. So you're like, okay, dump the footage and I'll look at you tomorrow, and then 2 weeks goes by and you're like, oh,
I should probably get on that.
I should do that. But it's weird to be forced to get your mindset for that creatively, I think.
Yeah, totally.
So, documentary in the background, and I guess working on all these other things hasn't scratched that itch more, or pushed you more towards it, I guess? Or
I think it's just they've been a big distraction.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah,
because especially since I've been doing more special effects, while I love it because it's very creative, and that, production will be like, hey, we need to make this coffin that we cut the back out of float, figure it out.
Yeah.
And it's kind of cool to have to figure out that puzzle piece. Or, say we want a church to burn down and you have to figure out how to make that happen. So it's creative in that space, but it's really more almost physically demanding too, because it's a lot of running propane hoses and carrying tanks and, so I love it, but it's almost brought me away from that writing and storytelling side from it, because you are so far removed.
right.
In the Montana film, it was nice because I actually had the script because I had to do the breakdown, and so I could kind of wrap my head more around the writing side and the storytelling. But on Fear and everything, we never knew what was happening. It was just we know that this tree needs to blow up, and we had no idea who was shooting at it, what was shooting at it, why, just the tree had to blow up.
We're just blowing a tree up.
Yeah, so it was very project-y rather than creative. So I would say it's been a little more just distracting. And maybe it's because even when I was doing scripty for the Houston project, I think even then I just get so involved in that project. It's hard for me to think, oh, I should be doing this to mine. Now, on the opposite side of that, anytime I talk to you about In-Betweening and how it's progressing, it does make me jealous, because I'm man, I should be doing that too.
Yeah.
So
that's what I do, Brittany. I inspire people.
That's it. It's all of my discussions with you start that itch.
Well, that's nice. Well, it's funny. I'm being funny, but in the way when I say, I'm oh God, I'm not getting anything done. That's what I feel of course. But that's nice to know that at least it seems on the outside like shit's happening, and it is. It just takes, this stuff takes forever. We have a lot of animation.
Well, when you're in it, when you're in it, you feel you're just. But it's kind of like flipping a house or something. It's has to look horrible before it's complete, and then all of a sudden it's completed.
Yeah.
I'm just still in the demolition phase. I feel so I haven't even reconstructed everything yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, but in a good way, yeah. Every time we talk about In-Betweening, I'd get more inspired. That would be a good way to say it, to do it. But
that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I when I put up that trailer for the trailer, I guess, that I cut a couple weeks ago, I guess, just mainly because I'm just oh God, I feel I got to do something, put something out, right? And I had most of it, but a lot of it I'm waiting on, because I'm waiting on the final animation. But I was just I'll screw around and just put this out and see what everybody thinks. It's funny how many people there are some people that are still, they owe me things, just say work or just little things they need to do, that it's just taken, because it's the same situation, people getting paid peanuts, it's not a priority, I get it, but it's I'll put something like that out, and then it'll kind of force them into oh, okay, yeah, I'm gonna do that thing I told you I'd do.
I'll get that done.
Yeah, and because they get excited about it again, it lights them up. So it's good to know that does that, because I'm doing that. I'm doing a version of that for myself too when I'm doing it, trying to re-excite myself about it. Although, as mentioned, this is the first project I haven't gotten totally just turned on, basically, by this point in the process.
Yeah.
There's still times where it's just the monotony of just waiting for stuff, and stuff that I'm not doing, the edit's done. It's up to other people, Greg and the animators, to finish, and I'm just kind of getting antsy. I just need to do something, but there's nothing for me to do really. Everything's done as far as I can do it until I get everything back.
Yeah.
But then that kind of fires people up again. You know what I mean? And even last week when I went, and I didn't even intend to get Alexandria's lines recorded, who she plays the lawyer in the movie, but she lives in Dallas or Arlington. And because of the other stuff that was going on, I was I'll go stay in a hotel and I'll try to knock this out, just see if I can make it work. And I could just tell that making that, it got them both her and Greg, re-excited. And they're re-excited about the movie and fired up about it. And she was posting about it the next day. And Greg was oh, I just did this, this, and this so it kind of reignites them. Yeah. So.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah.
So now anytime you see Mel post anything, it's just...
it's always...
He's waiting
it's usually
on something.
calculating. I'm I got to crack the creative whip.
Yeah.
Boom. Yeah.
Have you ever read The Art of War, Brittany?
Yeah, totally. But yeah, it's almost now you're just waiting on the animation, and as soon as I get it, I'll be sure to show you, because just the little bits that I keep seeing are pretty awesome. Because it's like I expected one thing and like I saw it, but now that I think Nick's got like a team of people working.
Oh, cool.
That are all just I think they're all minority animators that are helping him out, and just like seeing the iterations of these shots. That does the same thing for me, where I'm like, okay, well, I'm into it again.
Yeah.
I'm ready to work on this, ready to get it done.
Like bouncing back and forth.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. At least the ball's still bouncing.
Yeah, it's still bouncing. Yeah. Sometimes in danger of traveling. But yeah, still bouncing. And I think I know. I guess the frustrating part about that for me now is, and of course, all the timelines always slide on this stuff. But like, let's say in December, I had an idea of, okay, we're going to be finished, around this time, and I want to go to this festival and this festival and this festival, and this was probably where we'll premiere it. 2 or 3 of those are no longer an option.
Yeah.
But it's opened up new options that I hadn't thought of, really. So that's kind of the thing I'm dealing with now. It's like I have to get my head around another plan for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see. Well, we'll see what happens. And really, honestly, at this point, it's not really about, like, I don't expect, I'm beyond expecting to, like, play a festival and get a good deal from it, because we did it. We did it. Didn't happen. It happened to everybody else but us, for whatever reason. So, and I'm trying, I don't want to sound too salty. It just didn't happen. Right. Yeah. So that's not my goal, but so now I think now it's more like what cool vibe do I want to be a part of?
Yeah.
Like what festival can we get into that'll be fun to screen at, where people will get it as well, because it's such a weird,
your audience.
Yeah. And just by virtue of what the movie is, that kind of nixes a lot of the genre stuff, because there are horror people in it.
Yeah.
And there's that element isn't like kind of part of the story, I guess. But it's not a horror movie, it's more like bitching about trying to make a horror movie, which also could be kind of interesting, but that's also not a huge major part of it. You know what I mean? I don't lean on it too much. So it gets sort of like finding its space. But there's something I'll mention to you guys offline that it just occurred to me, and I don't know why I didn't think of it before, but it could be like if everything works out, it could be like a super awesome experience. So just remind me when we get done. Okay. I don't want to jinx myself by putting it out in the world, but fingers crossed. But anyway, that's what's going on. So hopefully, cool. Hope to be done with the animation. Then I just got to go up to Greg and mix it and then figure it out. So beyond the documentary, I know you said you haven't really been that inspired, to do creative stuff, but any thoughts at all about doing like another narrative thing or whatever?
Well,
I inspired you in such a way?
Well, I have 2 scripts. One of them has been finished for a very long time, and actually could be I don't want to say easily shot. I mean, it really could. It could be easily shot. It's kind of like it's a drama.
Go on.
I know. And, well, it was like a pilot that I wrote in college, and then I just kind of kept altering it throughout years. And I mean, I want to say like 6 or 7 years ago, I finished the script, and then I read it again like 2 or 3 years ago, and thought, well, actually, it's pretty good, better than I thought it was going to be. There was another film that was somewhat similar to mine that came out, probably 6 years ago, which I think is why I just sort of like, okay, well, never mind. Hollywood already came up with something like that. But there is enough difference that I don't think anyone would be like, oh, this is like whatever that, I don't even remember the movie. But I think it's different enough, and it has a little like bit more Tarantino style than what came out. What came out was very bland compared to what I envisioned for it. But I don't know. I don't ever know why I really had never pushed it. I don't know. It's just It's just always kind of been there. I don't know. It was almost like the first script that I've written, but
Yeah.
I've just been kind of tinkering with it. But I mean, it is done.
Yeah.
So there's that. I have another one that I love that will be my Braveheart, I think, like 15 years down the road, because it would take a budget. It's a period piece, and it's a lot of, well, I say it's a lot of graphic stuff, but I mean, graphics are kind of more easy now.
Yeah.
So maybe it wouldn't take that much in post, but it would need a budget.
Yeah.
And then, oddly enough, so years ago, after I graduated college, my dad got real into script writing, and he was a huge horror genre and like B film cult classic fan.
Yeah.
So he wrote a series of films, or he had ideas for a series that was all supposed to kind of intertwine somehow. Okay. And he got 2 of them completed. He passed away 3 years ago, so he obviously didn't get to finish all of them, but I've always kind of had that thought that, you know, I could always like film one of those 2 or those 2 and then maybe try to continue the lineage, because I have the scripts and the ideas just sort of as an homage, but that one was a little more of a, I guess just in general, because of how much I've been working the last couple of years, I haven't had a thought of like, let's do my own. And just a lot of it is just because I think the thought of trying to get funding is just exhausting to me right now. I mean, trying to get funding in my own life, much less, you know, film. So
sure.
I mean, I've been going through it for a year and a half now.
Yeah, maybe if I went back and actually reread them, I might get a little more of a spark, because it's been several years since I've read any of them again.
Yeah.
But no, the one that I completed a long time ago, I think would be a lot of fun. And I wrote it to take place in LA, but honestly, it could take place in any big city, so we could have shot it here. Yeah, I'm sure I've told y'all about it, but
you sparked Chris's interest.
Not the audience, but I'm sure I've probably told. I'll tell you about it off air, and you'll probably be like, "Oh yeah."
Yeah, I don't know anybody's stealing our ideas. Yeah. Steven threw a bunch of stuff out for free.
I'm just like copyright.
Yeah, won't be surprised if a bunch of those start showing up.
Yeah.
And you said that one was like more of a thriller.
Yeah, I would say it's just drama thriller. It's a little bit of action. That would be there's kind of a car chase in it, so that would be like the highest production value of it. But yeah, it's a little action, little drama.
Cool.
What I need to do is write something simple. It never works out.
Yeah.
Okay.
What?
Then the next thing you know, we're like, oh, this is simple. 10-page. What? What is this?
Yeah. Well, even the one that's, this even INBETWEENING, it's got all the animation and all that stuff. But yeah, I need to buckle down and try to do one of those. We'll see.
I mean, come on.
Well, that's the thing. It's like I need to be inspired. Like I've reached the end of this cycle of inspiration, I guess, or whatever. Because like now I'm content. Because that's usually what gets me to, like, if I'm mad about something, like, write about it. Now I'm like, what am I going to complain about? Really. There are things, but they're not going to make good movies.
Well, who says you have to complain? So maybe attack a different emotion, see what that brings.
Do we want to see what that brings?
I don't know.
I'm just
It could
kidding.
be interesting.
I'm like, like what? Like, what do you see me legitimately writing and it being good? Like,
no idea.
Some happy.
I mean, a comedy. I could see you doing.
Yeah,
a comedy.
but it's always like weird, dark. There's like a dark angle to it, I'm pissed about something like placeholders, or
But
maybe I don't know. It's just
it's really got to jazz me up to.
I'm just throwing something at the wall.
Hey, you obviously have to have like a passion for it to
right.
To write
something like it has to flip some sort of switch.
Sure.
Like I think it'd be hard. Granted, if I got a gig writing, like a hot writing for hire gig, and it was lucrative, that would be what flipped the switch is the money, right? But I think even then, it would be hard. I'm like, oh God, how do I get into this? To where it works, to where it doesn't sound like I'm being forced to write something. I think that's the hard part for me. And right now I'm just not really feeling it. Yeah. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see what this round of finishing INBETWEENING and then going through the same round of bullshit again, like sparks.
I'm sure it'll be something.
Yeah, who knows? Who knows?
Only the shadow knows.
Yeah. You know what I should have. What I. Yeah. Only the shadow knows. Oh, the shadow knows. I should have. I thought about this right before you showed up. We should have done another green litter bullshit. We haven't done. You know what I also thought, since we all have movies that are out, because you can watch 869, right?
I think so. Yeah, I don't even know. I think you can. Yeah, somewhere.
Yeah. The thing is, I don't know if I want to do this to myself. I think it would fuck my head up. But I was going to. Thought it'd be funny to read each other's bad reviews to one another.
Oh, that would be funny.
But I don't know. Because I was thinking about Steven, because he has Doll Factory out. And I know people were mean to him about that movie, just like they were about Imago, just like they are about Mystery Spot or whatever. They're bad in the same way, in the same. It's the same kind of person, kind of writing the reviews. I thought that would be a funny bit, but then I was like, nah, you know what? I'm just gonna walk away mad. But I guess if I walked away mad, then I'd be inspired maybe to write.
There you go. Yeah. Maybe.
So maybe this is what we should do.
I think.
Is that the next? Is that our next?
I could probably top my own bad reviews with my own bad review.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. It's like, oh, you think this was bad? Well, here's what really happened.
What really happened.
Here's what we had to.
But I think. So speaking to Imago's side of that, Imago in the Blood, Dark Ritual. Some of those reviews are like, it's just shit that people didn't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, or didn't pay attention.
Well, it's just like. The stuff that should have come out in the press that didn't come out about the movie, and what we've done, and what we had to do to get it done, right. And so reading that, I read that review, and I think I remember talking about this, and I just was like, I was pissed because we never got that opportunity to actually say it and be like, hey, this is what happened, this is what we went through, you know what I mean, just the story, so that way people that went and did that, went and looked on IMDb and were like, oh, it's been named 3 different movies. What kind of scam is this? You know what I mean?
A scam in which we don't make any money.
We're not
what a scam!
Well,
Genius.
It's funny when you're like, can you watch 869? I'm like, I don't know. I don't see any royalties from it. So
tell me about it.
I don't know who's licensing it, but someone might be out there.
Yeah,
but it's one of those things where it's I'll read that review and I'm like, yeah, well, let me tell you the story of why you're even writing that. You know what I mean? This is
in fact, you can hear the story. Do you know where you can hear this story?
Yes, I sure do.
I'm going to link it below.
Do it.
Because we put the video up.
Yeah.
Which is a lot of that, but that's not even everything.
That's not even everything.
Yeah, for sure. That I think is the big tragedy of that release, is that all that extra stuff didn't get out.
Right.
Because I think that's kind of I'm very proud of the movie, but that makes it a whole different thing, And it speaks to this shit that we have to deal with and go through, and
it just gives it a whole nother life,
right? And putting out the movie, you know? What's interesting? I think I came to a realization, at least with Mystery Spot, is when I would see bad reviews around when it was at the festival, because I'm just trying to find any mention, of it, right? It really, and most of them weren't really mean, or it wasn't people just trying to shit on something. It really was oh, this is a case of this movie's not for you. Mm-hmm. You're looking for the wrong thing. Where they're like, oh, it's slow paced, boring, or whatever. Right. But then if you read another, an opposite review where people are super into it, and it's because of those things. It's and it's because I deliberately am trying to make that kind of movie. Right. Because I was so sick of all the other ones. Right. That you probably would have been into, that you probably love, that probably ruined my life. Yeah. So it's a direct reaction to all that stuff. So I was just like, I can't even really argue with that. It's just not for you. There's stuff that people love that I do not like. Right. It's just whatever. Not for me.
Yeah. I'm just clinging to the claim of fame that 869 was mentioned in that Scream Queens show.
Oh, it sure was.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that I'm taking credit that it was the movie, because they never explain it. But E! News posted an article because people kept asking, what is that? And they said it's most likely homage to independent film 869 that was made, and linked it to our website, which is no longer active. So I was like, okay, well, E! News thinks it was us, so I'm going to think it was us too.
Sure. I mean, nice. It'd be a weird coincidence otherwise.
Yeah.
Was that the one Debbie was on? I'm trying to remember.
Queens?
No, it was
That was on MTV. wasn't it?
Yeah. But Debbie was on like another season of that or something. She was a judge.
I thought there was only like one. Oh, maybe there was 2 seasons.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't remember. Now that you say that, I think I only watched.
Yeah, because then that would have made it really weird. If it was
honestly, I don't think I ever watched it, but my parents did, and it was when that came on. My dad was like, "Brittany!" He was like yelling at me. He's like, "Come in here, watch this!" And he was rewinding it, and they watched that scene, and I was like, "What is happening?"
Yeah.
And so it was just like literally 15 minutes of excitement, and then nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, I get it. That's pretty much.
It's almost embarrassing to think that someone might have seen it actually at this point.
Yeah. I feel that way too. Like people are like, oh man, like just out in life at the gym or whatever, people will be like, oh,
they hear at the Thai boxing gym, this guy comes in, he's like, man, I heard you're a director. I'm like, from who? First of all, because none of the Saul guys, those are the guys that would know, like none of the Saul guys were around. Like they don't really overlap really. So because that's how they know me through Saul kind of, and Saul would say that, but it didn't make sense when this person would come bring it up to me, and I'm like, yeah, you know what? He's like, oh man, I'd love to see some of your stuff. Where can I watch them? I'm like, oh, what do I tell him?
Yeah.
You know, I'm like conflicted as to what to tell them to watch.
It is funny that
do I throw you?
Yeah, but if you do ask like who heard it, because that definitely determines what kind of director.
Right.
Because there's some things I'm like, I just don't. I'm gonna like, I will say something to you, and then you'll go watch it and not clock the idea that we made it over a decade ago or whatever, you know, for X. It'll just be like this guy's making this, you know. I'm like, no, there's a fucking slope, you know, like we actually got better, I think, but yeah, and even the newer stuff, like I have a struggle with it because I'm like, I feel fucked up about it in different ways, you know. So it's just so, I'm like, I've got a bunch of stuff you can watch. Do I want you to watch it? Or it's like, do I just print out this packet of stuff that's like, here are all the asterisks.
Read this as a preface.
Keep all of this in mind. I say all that, but I am pretty proud of Mystery Spot, other stuff aside. But honestly, as
you should be.
Yeah. But I mean, it's kind of hard for me to pick one other. Well, actually, what I usually do is Mystery Spot, Dark Ritual, and then maybe I'll send them a trailer to one of the ones I produced or something, just depending on like if I'm like, oh well, will they be into the fact that this is like a horror comedy clinger, or like Tony Todd's in this, Lance Hammer's, you know. But even though, like, obviously, even those, like, I have caveats for, so it's just tough. I'm like, well, there's like, I've made like, 6 movies, but watch one, maybe 1.5, you know. Although I don't know what's going on, and I need to find out what's happening with all the movies. Honestly, this may be the year that I just pay my lawyer to
figure it out,
go do lawyership for me, and just fucking shake some trees. But something happened in the closet space world, I guess, to where like a lot of people are messaging me about that lately.
Yeah, recently.
Like it got on and started airing somewhere else, or got out somewhere else. So that's weirdly cropped back up. So I got to figure out what's going on with that. But yeah, there's a guy on YouTube that was like, man, you should make 8 more sequels to this. And that just made my stomach hurt, the thought of it. Like, ugh. Yeah. I don't know. But yeah, it's just weird how this stuff has an ongoing
lineage
life, and like it's weirdly cyclical. How stuff will crop back up and pop back up. And
well, no, 869, that series of numbers pops up in so many aspects of my life in just random lists. Like, I don't know if you've noticed, but one of the podcasts that you and I film, like, it's in their phone number.
Oh yes, yeah, you're right.
But that happens to my whole life. Like, it pops up like
it's
that
funny,
on things, and I'm like,
my first phone number when I lived with my aunt in the Heights, and I don't know whose phone number this is now, so don't call it. But it was 8691. That was the first thing I thought when I saw this. Yeah.
So I don't know why those 3 numbers are so prevalent in my life, but unfortunately, because it's one of those moments like, are you kidding me right now?
Yeah. And Stephen, like with the numbers or it's the badge number, right? Okay.
Yeah.
That's right. I was trying to remember what they were.
Spoiler.
Oh, sorry.
I'm just
sorry.
kidding. Just kidding. Now you don't have to watch it.
You know everything you need to know.
Oh, and I don't know if you noticed, I put this thing out on the table. Do you know who gave me this? I think we've talked about this before.
Do I want to know who gave it to you?
I mean, probably not, but you could probably figure out now.
He who shall not be named, probably.
Well, how many? There's so many of them, but
Okay.
the ones with the initials KS.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was early on. He's like, "Oh, I found this. You have to figure you'd like it."
I don't know why you did your thing like that, but it was really funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it was my low-key impersonation of that person.
Loved it. That's great.
By the way, I just looked at Watch Now for Closet Space, and apparently it's on Amazon. But that's it.
That's recent.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't up until recently.
Yeah, it's on Amazon.
Yeah, so I need to do some reaching out and see what's going on.
What is happening now?
Yeah.
$1.99,
Yeah.
$13 to own it.
$13.
Lucky number 13.
Yeah. And
And also, there's also directed by Mel House.
oh yeah, I know. Like it's got the greatest hits.
Yeah.
The greatest hits.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, I need to see what's going on with that and see what's going on with placeholders. Psychic Experiment, I feel like it's not even worth chasing down because it's such a big company. They don't give a shit.
But if you could package deal it.
Right. And I'm like, well, if I did, let's just say I put up a fight and got the rights back to all these things or whatever. Like, do I really want to?
Do anything?
Yeah, I don't have an affinity for that stuff that much to where I'd be like, the only thing I would be Imago probably because it's got all that extra shit that we haven't put out. Some of which you can see on this channel. Link in the description. But everything else, I'm like, I don't know what else I would do. I mean, there's director's cut of Psychic Experiment, sure. But the older I get, the more I'm like, that stuff doesn't need to be in there anyway. The further away I get. I mean, I do like it, but I get that it slows the movie down. And it doesn't drastically change anything. And then Closet Space, I kind of just don't want to deal with that stuff. Yeah. That's pretty much it. I mean, there's a director's cut of Mystery Spot that exists, but
When that time comes, you'll know what to do with it.
Yeah. But I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I missed, but a lot of stuff that I missed for a while, but things have happened to where I don't miss them so much anymore.
Sure.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Get that.
Yeah. So,
Kind of go, all right.
Yeah.
What else are you going to do? You can't just sit here and ponder on it for the rest of your life.
Right,
Because
exactly.
at some point, it's just going to drive you crazy. Like, it's not worth it,
Yeah. So, then that's all those reasons and more why I'm glad we made In Between the way we did. Yeah. And I can control just what happens with it, and how it gets out there and whatever. Yeah. So, and it's, like I said, it's why I'm not going psycho, going crazy about working on it right now. Like, I'm still excited when something comes around and I have to work on it a little bit.
Yeah.
It's not a slog, really.
It's not grueling.
Yeah.
It's not a force. It's not
Because there's not someone that's just going to turn around and crush all of the little bit of excitement you have about what you just got.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Which we've all been there.
Yeah.
Yeah. The eternal struggle.
Yep. Well, I'm glad we could end on a high note.
Yeah.
Brittany, it was wonderful having you back.
Thanks for having me back.
I'm glad we got to catch up.
Yes.
I always like we never did any. None of us recorded at all during the pandemic, and it's like I feel like we missed a huge opportunity because everybody was recording.
Yeah.
But there was nothing to really.
Well, and I was busy. You were busy. Yeah, you were doing Mystery Spot. I was all over the fucking United States. You were.
I don't even remember. Well, during the pandemic.
Yeah.
I don't know what I was doing. I don't remember.
Pandemic stuff.
Yeah. Eating fast food.
Yeah. But now, and for a while, again, it was just like, I'm not writing stuff because it's not rocking me. It's the same with the pot. I'm like, go ahead. I don't feel like talking about anything.
Yeah.
But because once I started thinking about my YouTube channel and using it to put stuff out there, and the fact that we're sitting on all this stuff that we can put out there, I'm like, you know what, we should do it again. Plus, you guys have done stuff that's worth talking about.
Yeah.
I feel like I've just been working on the one movie, kind of just like here and there, But you guys had a lot of stuff to, it's awesome that you worked on The Walking Dead, and it's awesome that you worked on
Cottonmouth. And,
I couldn't remember the name.
Yeah, with Ron Perlman.
You're right.
Yeah.
But all that shit. I mean, so many, like, we were forgetting stuff when we were talking,
I went
Yeah,
back,
you've been working constantly.
I went back and looked, and I was like, fuck, I forgot about that. Like, there's a lot of shit, and I was just like, damn. And, a couple friends have watched the podcast, and they were like, dude, happy that you're so busy. I'm like, yeah, I wish it was like that right now. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, guys, did you really? We were talking about pandemic to now, like not that I'm working right now.
I know. I actually came back from Georgia this week last year.
Yeah.
And so I've done like 2 features in that year. Like that's not a lot.
Mm-hmm.
That's
not comparative to what we were doing.
Yeah.
Well, if someone wants to reach out to you and hire you as either a scripty or a script supervisor or a special effect, like pyro technician,
you
where
can
would they find you?
email me. It's probably better because I'm not a big social media person. I mean, you could find me on Facebook under Brittany Miles, but I don't really have a business. I'm one, and I don't have Instagram. I know y'all don't believe that, but I don't.
I always, every time I go to tag you, and I'm like, she's not on here, right?
I don't have one. I will probably have to start one because life, but right now I don't have one. So no, it's really just email Brittany at bmilesmedia.com.
Cool. I'll put up a text thing.
Yeah.
Reach out to her if you can.
Click the graphic.
Well, we'll try to make it not so long. For next time,
we'll have some greenlit bullshit.
I need to start thinking of some because there's been some good ones lately that I'm like, how is that? Is that really a movie? A lot of them with Amityville in the title, but yeah. And since that's like public,
fucking getting made.
Like, well, we can let's think of one. We could do it.
Yeah, it's true.
Because I think it's because you can't trademark it because it's like a city or whatever.
Sure,
like anybody can do it. So, but I was like, what is my angle? Because there's been some like, and I would just be in the kitchen. I'm like, Amityville croissant, or whatever. Why not?
Why not?
Maybe we should do some cooking shows on your infamous nachos.
Oh, you know what? I almost made some for us to just put, but I was like, we're never gonna get anything recorded.
Where's the eating? Oh,
yeah.
Because I have tried. Oh my god.
Yeah. They are
next. Cooking with Mel.
Yeah. Next time. So we'll do. I've mastered the art of air fryer nachos. Maybe that's the centerpiece of my next movie. It's like
air frying nachos.
Well, no, like Jiro Dreams of Sushi, but with nachos.
Make it happen.
Yeah. All right. Well, we will see you guys next time. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, all the usual stuff. It definitely helps the algorithm. Thanks very much. See you later.
Bye.
Adios.